It's occurred to me that the streets don't understand the nonsense in Yuji's bag. We're about to fix that. Starting with the fact that Modulo Yuji has 20 fingers worth of curse energy. Not counting the pool he added from consuming his brothers or God knows what else during his time after we last saw him. There's a prevalent misconception that Yuji absorbs curse techniques and energy of the curse objects he consumes, as that's kind of a reductive way to look at how his body actually works. After analyzing Yuki Tsukumo's research and discussing specifics of the soul with the gang, Yuji was concerned Swiss training may alter the shape of the body, and rightfully so. Yuji didn't understand the essence of his soul at the time, so he probably didn't consider how this relates to himself. But Yuji's body adapted each time he consumed a cursed object, almost as if the glove stretched to fit the hand. However, we did get to see what happens when non-heavenly restricted people get possessed by cursed objects. When Sukuna possessed Megumi, halting the process of full reincarnation allowed Megumi's body to morph into strange shapes and comical proportions. Sukuna exploited the subsequent instability of Megumi's body, or let's say mass existing in a state between Megumi and Heian era Sukuna. Megumi's body was in the process of imprinting the dominant soul's physical information obtained from Sukuna's fingers. That's how incarnation happens. The dominant soul changes the shape of the vessel's body to match that soul's physical information. Unlike Yorozu and Sukuna, who halted this process for their individual reasons, Kashimo just straight up fully reincarnated, giving us a perfect example of what's normally supposed to happen when one body is contested between two souls. Kashimo's body in the Culling game is the same body we see from the Edo period but in his physical prime. But Sukuna halted this process so it can pop it like a senzu bean, anticipating critical damage from when he fights Satoru Gojo. Sukuna never had this much influence over Yuji's body. Even when Yuji was unconscious, Sukuna never came close to reincarnating. But the process of imprinting happened anyway, only it was not in Sukuna's favor. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the body is formed by the soul. Yuji's body has the ability to imprint in itself the body's information from the souls he ingests. So Yuji's body permanently morphs to take on the properties of the body's information contained in the souls of said cursed objects. This is how Yuji obtained the physiology of death paintings, not just their curse techniques. He was cursed never to die naturally as he adopted the physiology of those who lived in death. Aborted fetuses who could not even die prematurely from the procedure and persisted for over 100 years without nourishment. The paradox of agelessness cursed them never to physically develop past a fetus. For over 100 years they just existed, sealed in jars. In a way, Yuji went on to embody the death painting. Now, for how Sukuna fits into all of this. I want to start off by saying there is no such thing as 16-finger Sukuna. Sukuna never had access to that 16th finger at any point in the story since the day it was amputated. I mean, technically the first since it was implanted at birth, and it was the first Sukuna finger Yuji ever came into contact with. This was evident in Sukuna's surprise at Yuji's sudden burst of cursed energy. Upon closer inspection, he also felt the properties of Yuji's cursed energy were similar to his. That's when he made the connection that Yuji was juiced up on one of his missing fingers. And if he had any connection to it, he would have taken it with him when he hopped bodies into Megumi. At the start of Jujutsu Kaisen, we were told some of Sukuna's fingers were quiet and Sukuna's vessel can act like a radar or resonance of sorts. By all accounts in the 16-finger camp, Sukuna should have been able to sense that finger and make sense of this way back when Kenjaku unsealed it in Shibuya, and not when Yuji started throwing combinations at his head top. Kenjaku placed a seal on all his dormant cursed objects, including the finger that will only come undone after he untied the knot. But Yuji's was special. The finger implanted in Yuji was unsealed the instant Sukuna's soul vacated Yuji's body, like it was the condition on the seal's binding vow. Kenjaku placed this finger out of Sukuna's reach by design. We'll circle back to that reason shortly, we just need to lay some groundwork first. After Yuji consumed the death paintings, 3 things can be observed. 1. He absorbed their cursed energy. 2. His body engraved their cursed techniques. And number 3, his body attained their physiology. These are not 3 separate phenomena. The other 2 are the direct results of number 3. Yuji's body only rewrites its physiology to match the body's information from the souls he ingests. The engraving of curse techniques and energy is merely a result of Yuji's body changing its building blocks to match the cursed object's code. Let's think of it like Yuji literally embodies the souls he ingests as if their genetic material were his own. Remember that shit that happens to Mahito when he places his hands on his face to transfigure himself? That's Yuji's body each time he consumes a cursed object. The curse techniques and energy just come with the physiology. Just features, if you will. The process takes time, and the stages for the 3 observations duration varies from case to case. Yuji acclimated death paintings number 4 to 9 rather quickly, because individually they weren't special grade souls like numbers 1 to 3. Yuji cashed in their biology almost immediately, their curse energy next, but their curse techniques barely awakened by the time JJK's credits rolled. Sukuna is no exception. Yuji only ever needed to eat 1 finger to gain Sukuna's curse technique and amass all 20 fingers worth of curse energy. That finger was the one that was consumed in chapter 1. And all their time together, Sukuna never helped Yuji not once in battle. Not even with a single drop of cursed energy. Yet Yuji's reserves kept growing over time anyway. Y'all ever find that strange? To start, Satoru gave him the puppet to increase Yuji's output as his reserves expand. Real talk, anybody found that strange? Please let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, please hit the like button because you didn't make it this far off of the spirit of hate. Now back to some stranger things. Like, where was this cursed energy coming from? Right? In addition to that, when Sukuna vacated Yuji's body, he took his full 15 fingers with him. And that was no sweat off Yuji's back. Yuji didn't lose his gain, so Sukuna definitely didn't have access to Yuji's mysterious cursed energy pool, nor was he the source. You know he would have taken that shit too if he could. If anything, Yuji tapped into more cursed energy because Sukuna vacated his body. It starts to make sense when you consider the fact that Yuji's body had begun engraving Sukuna's technique from the first finger. By the time he got to the third, Satoru could see the shrine was most of the way engraved already, to the point where he could confidently confirm. Shrine was practically waiting to be awakened after the Shibuya incident. Yuji didn't need all 20 pieces of Sukuna's soul to engrave Shrine. It only took 1. In much the same way, he only ever needed 1 finger to amass all 20 fingers worth of cursed energy. Because Yuji never absorbed Sukuna's cursed energy per finger he ingested. When Yuji ate the finger in chapter 1, his body began rewriting itself to adopt the physical properties of Sukuna. Shrine and Sukuna's cursed energy just came with the new genetic code. Like Mahoraga's Dharma chakra, consuming more fragments of Sukuna's soul only made the process happen faster. But it was wraps the moment Yuji ate the first finger. This is consistent with what happened when Yuji consumed his older brothers. The only difference is the death painting's techniques took more time than trying to awaken due to their stacks and complexity. Variance, really, not so much difference. Death painting style blood manipulation has extended techniques that hold aspects of death, like rot or decay. Yuji unlocked the basics of blood manipulation and had more curse techniques lying dormant by the time he fought and defeated Sukuna. On the flip side, Yuji quickly assimilated his brother's curse energy, but took longer to grow into his full 20-finger curse energy billionaire status. By all rights, Yuji did stop aging the moment he assimilated his brothers and became a perpetual 15-year-old. Fate was merciless to the death paintings. Having been plucked from the womb prematurely, the paradox of agelessness caught them lacking. We can confirm they didn't have to be fetuses because their older sibling was stillborn for whatever reason, but their development did progress to eventually a baby. Unlike that baby, the death paintings were aborted intentionally at a fixed stage of development by Kenjaku. You came out your mama's body, right? Yeah, that means you were born, but that means you were born. Oh, you were not born. Yeah, we don't get into specifics over here, buddy. We don't do that here. But what you got going on over there? I see a little umbilical cord. Oh, you a fetus. That's tough. That is tough. Yeah, I don't think you're gonna make baby, but yeah, I don't think you're gonna make baby. You're about to be a fetus for a very long time. Let Jujutsu Kaisen twins tell you the only time the laws of curse energy hear anybody out is inside Higuruma's domain. And that's only when Judge Man is looking for reasons to vaporize you where you stand. Like his brothers, Yuji became stillness. Or at least he should have, but he got taller and bigger. This should come as no surprise because his body was still processing Sukuna's physiology, building up to the form encoded in Sukuna's soul that can produce and handle all that cursed energy. Any idea who else is 6'3"? Roughly where Yuji is at in Modulo right now? This guy, Sukuna's soul in his innate domain. Wasuke's torso ran him up to like Nikola Jokic, but the form in his innate domain is Sukuna's purest form. One that's just him. The very same one Yuji was in the process of metamorphosizing to mimic. He may be ageless, but if Yuji eats more nonsense, his physical form would be up for negotiation. But back to that elusive 16th finger. If you're smelling what I'm cooking so far, then you're probably asking yourself if Yuji only ever needed the one finger. Then why did Kenjaku go through all that trouble just to deliver the 16th finger to Yuji? It's only 1/20th of Sukuna's soul, so in the grand scheme of things, it should make a world of difference. But the thing is, during his time as Sukuna's vessel, all the cursed energy Yuji ever channeled was his own. It started out as a drop but continued to expand with time. Each time he consumed a finger, Sukuna would gatekeep the cursed energy contained within it. This never made Yuji stronger directly. It only made Sukuna stronger. What it did do though was speed up Yuji's metamorphosis with each passing finger. So ultimately Yuji did get stronger by eating more fingers, though indirectly. Kenjaku elected to have Yuji consume this finger after Sukuna was vacant from Yuji's body. Like in the case of the finger bearers, this scenario would boost Yuji's cursed energy by a finger immediately, since Sukuna wasn't around to gatekeep anymore. He definitely wasn't about to spin back for one piece of his soul neither, because there was never gonna be a second prison break. Yuji would lock shit down like Guantanamo Bay. It was just not worth it. This was a masterful play from Kenjaku. Kenny needed Yuji to be strong enough to survive the culling game, and fast. This was a failsafe he placed from the jump, 15 years before he knew what the board would look like when it's time. Choso had two roles in Kenjaku's plan. The first was to set off the bomb in Shibuya, and the second was to have Yuji ingest stealth paintings numbers 4 to 9. When they broke in, Kenjaku instructed Mahito to take only numbers 1 to 3 and left the rest behind in Tengen's possession. Knowing Choso would be compelled to return for them, he pushed Choso away and played on his strings so he'd deliver them to Yuji. With the added bonus of knowledge of his lineage, the true essence of his soul, and some special insight. For the fight, even against a weakened Sukuna, before Yuji fully blossoms, he would need to be as sturdy as possible. That's where the death painting physiology came in. But this was Yuji's destiny regardless, because their physiology was a part of Kenjaku's envisioned peak of human potential. When fueled by even one Sukuna finger combined with the RCT efficient physiology of his brothers, Yuji could virtually heal endlessly in the fight against Sukuna and not worry about running empty on gas. So that 16th finger did make a world of difference, just not in the way some people may think. Over the next month or so, I'll drop a 3-part series on Kenjaku's plan, the culling game, and the intricacies that went into the planning. In all my time on YouTube, I've not heard one soul discuss how Kenjaku planned for Toji to encounter Sukuna in Shibuya, in an effort to protect Jogo, Choso, and Mahito, who still had a role to play in his schemes. Courtesy of my day one Zukara, we're about to get into all of Kenny's shenanigans. Hit like if you're entertained and subs if you want to pull up to the function when I drop. Catch me on the next one, gang.